right, good evening and welcome to Business Today. How are you doing? It's a fruitful 25th of October 2022 and we're coming to you live from Plot 42 Nile Avenue. I'm JORAM SONKO and here is Business Today, and among our top stories that we do have for you tonight, we shall be looking at Uganda's export, the European Union looking as well at the gold exports in the country, but also that looking at the regional findings within the East African Community region, and more of what we have for you in today's daily report. And of course, now kicking it off with more from what we have for you tonight, the government of Uganda has pledged to address important compliance issues such as food safety regulations that obstruct our ability to export agricultural products on a regional and global scale. The Prime Minister, Right Honourable Robin Nabanja, stated that the business laws need to be changed to allow exporters to escape market interceptions in the area and the European Union. Samuel Kirimunda reports.
During a meeting with the President's Advisory Committee on Exports and Industrial Development, Uganda's Prime Minister Right Honourable Robin Nabanja gave the committee an assurance that the country's parliament would introduce business laws that the following day would help exporters control quality of standards. The government also pledged to open up new markets for the product.
Because they also gave us a law that we are using now of 1936. 1936, we still use that law, which is too outdated. They put in place a meeting, that is tomorrow, with the Speaker, the Business Committee. And I believe my ministers have come up with those relevant laws that need to be amended. As government, we believe that if we are to improve the livelihoods of our people, we must ensure that we get markets of our products in outside markets to fetch foreign currency.
Odrek Rabogo, the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee for Exports and Industrial Development, claims that there is need to concentrate on 4 interventions, for instance, compliance on measures, including market access and market entry, loan funds and rules and regulations.
Create an export credit fund with commercial banks, with government, through Bank of Uganda, with private sector foundation, at least to have a platform. You say, I have an order for mushrooms in Kinshasa. I am a youth from Kalungu, here in Masaka. Can I raise $50,000 or 150 million and supply the mushrooms and pay slowly? That's a major, major breakthrough once our country has that.
Additionally, Mr. Drake Rabogo identifies a few areas that require attention if the market access is to be improved.
The production places, production centers for fruits, flowers, vegetables, meats, really is an area of a constraint that we need to work on. And then pack houses, labs, Entebbe airports, packaging, labeling, to make sure that these things are standardized and the world sees us as they see Brazil exporting its sugar or its meat. This border infrastructure is what we are working on to ensure that our aircrafts, our ships can get our products out of Uganda, clean products onto the market.
Amos Tindiebwa, Managing Director of Fresh Cuts, discusses with us some of the difficulties facing exporters.
And authorizing by government does not only stop at registration of that exporter, but it also moves to a stage of guiding the exporter. Guiding the exporter on what is required in that market, what kind of documents you must carry along your consignment, what kind of products are prohibited in that market, and what kind of labeling standards that you must comply with to enter the market. Because when our governments participate in international agreements, they become parties to certain frameworks.
According to Stuart Mwesigwa, Manager of Corporate Affairs at Roofings Group and board member of East African Community Business Council, the government should build ships and large shipments to other countries to help them ease the difficulties in improving export values.
We would also consider using our available resources of water transport on the Lake Victoria, Lake Albert, and other available resources, whereby if we put a ship on this natural resource. It could be able to transport a lot of cargo for export, but as well we could bring back other finished products. You know very well we want the dollar so much, which we use for importing various other products that we cannot locally manufacture, or raw materials which we use in order to add value. Value addition is very important for us. It creates so many jobs. We need these connections other than thinking of the markets that are beyond the borders of Africa.
Andrew Barije, Samuel Chirimunda, SMART24, Business Today.
All right, now away from that, we look at the regional findings as the leadership of the East African community has called for timely disbursement of funds from the partner states for proper budgeting. Now, the Deputy Registrar of the East African Community, Her Worship Christine Mutimuro, says that some member states delay to pay funds, which cripple the performance of the community. Patterson Mombere reports.
During the regional media training for editors and reporters on the East African Court of Justice, the Deputy Registrar of the East African Community, Her Worship Christine Mutimuru, raised a red flag over the delay by East African member states to disburse funds for proper budgeting.
There's an obligation when a partner state joins the East African Community, and the obligation of every partner state is actually to make its contribution in a timely manner. We have some partner states who have done that, and we have partner states who have not been able to do that. And I believe this has been brought to the attention of the Summit of Heads of State who have guided on this matter of partner states that have delayed with their disbursements.
The East African budget for the fiscal year 2021-22 is $91.7 million US. If paid, the areas would cover more than a half of the budget. According to the East African Community Council of Ministers, $54.1 million US was to be contributed by partner states or raised as other internal revenues, and $37.6 million US from development partners. Her Worship Christine Mutimiru revealed that the East African Community has got no donation apart from its member states, highlighting the need for the increase on the budget.
That the court cannot be funded, court sessions cannot be funded from any other source apart from the partner states. You cannot have donors fund the sessions of the court. The most that donors can fund are things like conferences and trainings. But in terms of court sessions, we need contributions from partner states, but we also need an increase in the budget that has been allotted to the court.
Following the conclusion of the conference, the East African Court of Justice shall hold its annual rotational court sessions during the month of November at the Commercial Court of Uganda premises in Kampala, Uganda.
Before, up to 2nd December, the court will be here in Kampala. We'll be sitting in the Commercial Court of Uganda for the whole month of November up to 2nd of December. So the judgment will be, the court session will be for all matters coming from all the partner states, not only coming from Uganda, from all the partner states, and also you are able to get even the cause lists of the matters which will be heard in Kampala. So you have the right to get access to the cost list, because the court belongs to you, and you have the right also to ask any question relating to the matter, except the matter which are still in court for a matter of confidentiality.
The objective of rotating the court's November session is to bring the service of the court closer to the people by the use of the media, and to enhance the visibility of the court as it undertakes its mandate of promoting access to justice.
So from the media is that what we are doing is known by the people, because that's the role of the media. Because otherwise people think that the court is there for sitting only. But what is the role of the court into implementing the agenda of the community, the cross-border matters, the matter of human rights, the matters of integration, and the judgment we are rendering the judgments.
The East African Court of Justice is one of the organs of the East African Community established under Article 9 of the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community. Established in November 2001, the court's major responsibility is to ensure the adherence of law in the interpretation and application of the compliance with the East African Community Treaty. Benson Mumbere, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now away from that, we look at gold exports in the country. According to officials, the gold revenues since the Africa Gold Refinery in Entebbe opened, Uganda's gold exports have increased after a year. Now, the country has resumed its gold trade. A new levy has been suggested, and the gold merchants have already started exporting again. Rona Nahawe reports.
In Uganda, the gold industry is so secretive that most people avoid talking about it. A tax of 5% was levied on each kilogram of refined gold and 10% on unprocessed gold for export under the Mining and Mineral Amendment Bill. The new rule went into effect in July, requiring gold exporters to reserve stock in an effort to avoid paying the tax. The restriction on exporting unprocessed gold was covered by the agreement of exporting 96.1% of the Uganda's gold exports. Since July, the exporters' boycott of the new levy has cost Uganda an estimated $720 million in lost gold shipments. Data from Uganda Export Promotion Board, however, shows that Uganda's gold exports in financial year 2020-2021 were $2,249.7 million and $1,118.38 million in financial year 2019-2020. For financial year 2021, there was zero data due to the 12-month suspension. But in August this year, it was $171.03 million that was collected. Whereas in 2020, same period, $221 million was collected. According to Bank of Uganda monetary policy statement that was released for the last quarter of the year earlier this month, the domestic economic activity that includes mining has seen progress despite economic challenges.
Composite Index of Economic Activity, CIEA, grew slightly by 1.2% in the quarter to August 2022 from 1.1% in the quarter to May 2022, supported by increased industrial activity.
Minerals Africa Development Institution says to promote our gold, we need to add value, which is started from the locals, that is to say miners and those in refineries.
We promote value addition at local levels. And we say, oh, there is a, we have, most of the countries have many laboratories for value addition. You can have a mobile gold refinery with the ministry. It will drive it to Kasanda, it will park there. Every dollar of gold is brought in, they buy it, put it there. Mobile. They bring it here to Central Bank, they take to the refinery, it's refined, stamped Uganda product, brought to the Central Bank, sold as a Ugandan product. That then you are creating, you can make more money in that. So what you're asking me, I don't believe that the increase in the revenue is based on value addition, because there is a little value addition, which we need to increase. And the government is doing that because they are going to putting up buying centers and processing hubs. That's what we need to promote and support the government to do. Yes.
Recent exploration surveys in Uganda have led to the discovery of approximately 31 million tons of gold. Recent exploration surveys in Uganda have led to discovery of approximately 31 million tons of gold ore deposits, from which an estimated 320,158 tons of the refined gold could potentially be extracted, with its value currently standing at $12.8 trillion. Rona Nahabwe, Ivan Tivenkana, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, the Ugandan economy is suffering a negative external shock, which was caused by the global recessions like COVID-19 pandemic, then the global inflation, and now the Ukrainian war. Now, the banking sector is one of those that were affected by these global shocks, as customers were already risk-averse due to the pandemic and with rising inflation combined with low economic growth. Martin Imsema reports.
According to the most recent World Bank economic analysis for Uganda, Although the country's economy is recovering from the severe effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, chances for growth are being threatened by the mounting demands on its natural resources. The COVID-19 pandemic had a significant impact on the banking industry, since clients couldn't make loan payments, which resulted into huge losses for banks. Despite the fact that banks received tax breaks from the central bank, the recovery has been slow.
The impact on the banking sector was really the COVID pandemic. You will recall that at the onset of the pandemic, especially in Uganda, which was around March 2020, we went into a lockdown. And when we were in a lockdown, there was curtailed movement, CTC, people could not make payments on their loans, so banks took substantial losses of their portfolios that we held during that time. But you recall that there was a lot of intervention to try and soften the ground for the borrower. So we had repayment holidays. The central bank allowed banks like ourselves to restructure facilities. You have bank customers who are unable to make payments on their loans for an extended period of time. It impacts bank profitability, it impacts the services we are able to offer, it impacts what we are able to invest in the sector. So COVID especially was a tremendous hit on the industry. So,
according to the estimates, inflation can cost the typical household up to $500,000 every month. The rising price of food, home goods, and vital services is to blame for this outlay. A significant organization like a bank will pay significantly more. The financial sector has been decimated by inflation, which is currently at 8.1%. Making investors suffer and, in the long run, discourages investment. Additionally, it affects whether insurance costs go up or down. Every industry is affected by the cascading effect, which drives up prices across the board.
Prices are going up, but so is the cost of money in the market. Now we suffer what we call margin compression, or a squeeze on our margins. So as you know, banks, we don't use our money to lend. We use depositors' money, savers.
However, the banking sector has grown considerably over the last 2 decades, going from 20 commercial banks with a total asset base of 1.35 trillion Ugandan shillings, representing average assets per regulated bank of 0.07 trillion Ugandan shillings in 1999, to 25 commercial banks with a total asset base of 38.30 trillion Ugandan shillings, representing average assets per regulated bank of 1.53 trillion in 2020. As the country is still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, global inflation is another logistical challenge affecting various sectors of the country. Banking sector being one of them has been affected as customers are unable to pay off their loans on time, hence big losses in the bank. Martha Nimsima, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now away from that, we talk about this pest invasion in agriculture. Now, Uganda has one of the best conditions for agricultural production due to its mild climate and a large amount of fertile land and frequent rainfall. It has long served as the foundation of Uganda's economy, generating about 370 for the country's GDP. However, the industry is suffering greatly due to migratory illnesses and pests avoiding detection. Bronia Katusime reports.
Previously, in 2020 February, a swarm of locusts attacked Uganda from Kenya, mainly through Amdad district and Karamoja sub-region. These pests leave crops devastated and also causing a damage on agriculture.
We have those pests that we have lived with. You know them, these caterpillars that eat cabbage, caterpillars that eat tomatoes, the drying of tomatoes. There we get losses of between 30 and 40%. But there are these migratory pests that come and invade a mass in what we call swarms or flocks of birds. These you can incur losses of 100%. So like a quail bird can eat its own weight of 5 grams. Now, if it is eating 5 grams of rice and there are 3 million birds, so 5 grams times 3 million, that is 15 what? So you find you are losing like 15 metric tons of rice if you have 1 million birds in one day. This is why we are saying, and we always make reference to the loss we incurred in the Kapchorwa Kweni area. The farmers had got money to grow sorghum for Nile breweries and Uganda breweries. And we lost 1,000 acres of sorghum to these quelea birds.
Currently, migratory pests in Uganda that limit agricultural output include desert locusts, armyworms, sassaflies, and quillbirds. Somalia, Djibouti, Sudan and South Sudan, as well as Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania in East Africa have all been impacted.
Those other migratory pests and vectors include the armyworm, the sassafly, the quelea bird, and any other that may emerge at any one time, as long as that vector or pest threaten food security in the member country.
Crop losses due to pests and diseases are estimated at 10 to 20% pre-harvest, 20 to 30% post-harvest, and up to 100% for perishable crops and export crops.
Uganda is prone to the invasion of the quelea bird, which destroy grains, most especially rice and other grains that look like a grass.
Stakeholders like government are trying their level best to fight these pests and diseases to revive regions that have been affected. Bronya Katsime, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, and thank you very much for being part of Business Today. We do continue with more after the break, so stick around because we've got more business reports coming your way. This is your daily report of business information. Stick around as I return with more.